today we thought we'll have an open discussion on how to deal with this inactivity. Before I jump into some of the solutions, I think one thing is very, very important to note, that what level of activity is inactivity. So I think it also differs for different communities. What I've seen, of course, we all would have heard of this 990 kind of rule, where 1990, where 1% of members are generally creators, and 10% are sort of mild creator. When I say mild creator, I mean people who would like and comment, and then 90% are just consumers. So I think that is a thumb rule, but I've seen in communities this tend to go a bit higher because those communities are more tight. So but as a thumb rule, I've seen even if there are double digit number of members who are creating in some way on a monthly basis, I think that's and I'm talking about at least few hundred members in the community. I think I have seen very, very roughly as a good number to take as a benchmark, but again, it will change a lot depending on community to community. The feeling on the right, I think that's what all of us are trying to solve for, and it's very, very frustrating for all of us when this happens. I think a very basic thing to do when we reach out to inactive members is, one, of course, what is the criteria to be considering someone as inactive? In a lot of cases, people who open the community might be considered as active as well. So there are terms like DAU, MAU, and in a lot of cases, people involve them, and it's fine. A lot of members are still finding value even if they come on the platform, open the platform, read content. That's also fine. So again, it depends on what is your base level criteria to define someone as inactive. And of course, once you've identified the criteria, you need to sort of collect data. Now you can collect data, of course, if you're using a community platform, there are different types of data that community platforms already provide. If not, if you're building your own space, in most cases there are analytics tools that you must be using, or someone in your team must be using. Try to just get that data out and then reach out to these members through different channels. You could reach out through emails, and you could create emails around different emotions. So for example, creating FOMO, creating feeling of you saying that, hey, we really want to help. So the way, at least we've seen it working in terms of email campaigns, is write down the different emotions that you want to leave in your members' mind when you reach out to them, and experiment with these different emotional languages. Then try out few incentives and gamify things, and take some feedback. If required, give at least a select number of members a call, just to understand what could have been a better way for us to make you feel valued in the community, or give value to you as a member in the community. This is very, very broad way, but what we have actually done in Community Hood is we do, of course, we use analytics tools. So for us, discovery of members is easy. We've done, and I'll talk about one of the email campaign that we did recently. So we do email campaigns to make sure, even if someone has, let's say, uninstalled the app, or someone has not installed the app, at least there is some voice. So don't rely on just one channel. Try to be multi-channel when you reach out to your members. We do personal feedback calls, a lot of times. So we don't, of course, do it every day, but at the end of the month, there is a list that we get, and we try to make few calls to understand how can we help better. We do occasional, once in 2 months, networking meetups, to give a free flow conversation, and potentially, members building synergy. So a little different format. And then we try to tag members in certain relevant content, where we feel they could find value or give value. Now, out of all these things, I think I'll come to the email campaign that we did. I think one-on-one reach outs is fantastic, way to really learn what is wrong or what can be done better to sort of activate your inactive members. And sometimes if the sample set is too large, it's still fine that you reach out to, let's say 10% of that sample set or 1% of that sample set, but try and understand at least as a feedback on what is it that you can do to make your members come back again. That's something that you should definitely do, and there are ways to do it. If your community is, let's say, relatively large and you feel you cannot reach out to them, all of them on one-on-one calls, use emails, and there are fantastic tools which help you personalize your communication when you reach out to those members on these. Now these are some of the other practices that we could accumulate during our pre-event catch-up, and we'll get into more details today when we speak to some of the volunteers who were giving their inputs in the pre-event catch-up. So one very interesting framework is building a sub-community for free-flowing conversations on certain subtopics in your community. Then the other one is can you create certain off-topic events or certain sub-communities or certain space in your community for off-topic conversations, because that creates culture in your community and people remember culture a lot more than just the value. If you can build culture in your community, you can really succeed, and I'm sure there are certain brands who have been successfully able to do that. So like in India there is Leap, which has done phenomenally well in terms of building a culture in the community through some of these frameworks. Then you can do a lot of these one-on-one Zoom meetups. So Vineet was sharing few examples of his own running group where the coach would ping people one-on-one, that even if someone is busy and cannot come every day, at least nudge them to appear in the running in the routine at least once a week. Then there are ways where, let's say if you're running a large community, you can always reach out to your members and say, hey, we are doing these one-on-one catch-ups, and here is the link to my Calendly, and you can book a slot and we can discuss about this thing. This is especially useful when you're running an extremely large community, and try to reach out to people who you feel represent a set of users who you want to bring back to the community. Then giving rewards, so for example, in one of the suggestion was sponsoring a vacation. So sometimes giving large and attractive rewards can also activate some of your members in the community. Take suggestions from your members, as much as possible. That's also a great way to activate your members. Gamify competitiveness. That's also something. And, a lot of these community platforms have inbuilt gamification, or while if you're building your own community platform, make sure that there is some level of gamification that you can design. Or even if you're not, using a community platform, like Neerav was telling us that through certain examples, for example, if you attend an event, you could give them certain points. So even if it requires you to do things manually a little bit initially, try to do that, and over time, you can adopt a community platform or certain tools to gamify your community. And then a very interesting thing is, a lot of times people would not attend, let's say, events, or would not join certain sub-communities if they feel that there is a lot of ice to be broken for them. Allow them to bring in, let's say, that friend to that event so that they don't feel left out. And especially in offline events, this holds a lot true. So if you're thinking of running offline events, definitely this is something that can help you get in some more members who otherwise maybe not that comfortable to join. This is an example of how we have been thinking about reactivating members. So we try to make sure that we discover needs of the members. So one example I want to share is we recently discovered that we have a lot of members who have not shared their challenges as much as they were doing earlier in the community, and we thought maybe they're not feeling enough comfortable, or at least some of them are not feeling comfortable to share those challenges in the community. So we discovered that need, and we sent them an email asking whether they would like to share any challenge, and we'll pick those challenge up, and I'll show you the template of the email that we had sent. And then we had created a very, very personalized reminder email as well, which actually made a lot of them reply. So don't stop at just one email. Try to make it personalized, and try to make it in a way that you are following up again. Because one thing I realized, that a lot of times when you reach out to your members, they will feel that it's a mass email. But if you follow up on the same thread, it makes them realize that, hey, this is not just one-time effort that is being put on me. People are trying to genuinely ask, so be genuine in terms of the language that you write when you reach out to these users. So this is the example of the email. So we told our members that, and I'm sure if you're already part of community, you would have received this. At least a lot of you would have received this. So we gave them examples on what type of challenges that we've picked up in past, and we just said that, hey, just reply with the challenge on this email, and if it makes you comfortable, we'll keep it anonymous. Now we reached out to about 800 members in this, and 68 people replied, which is phenomenally high. Like, I've never seen any campaign ever done, at least by me, where out of 800 people, 68 people actually replied on that email. Forget open rates, but this was the reply rate. And I think that's just because one, of course, we genuinely wanted to help, and second, we actually followed up on all of those emails to make them feel that we genuinely care and we want to know their challenge. Now, what this did was, because of those responses, we have accumulated, I think, about 60 odd challenges, out of these responses. And that was a big goal for us as a community. Given that we've now accumulated these challenges, we would love to discuss these challenges with the whole community and try to see wherever we can help, we'll help. But we can also take help from other members to address those challenges. And we saw that there was an increase in open rate on the app as well, post that some people tried to join the community who were not earlier part of the community. And we received a lot of positive comments. A lot of people replied that, hey, we would also like to help you in addressing, different challenges in the community. And that to me is a big win. That is what exactly we wanted to do with this campaign. We discussed some of these frameworks. Let's pick, one-on-one reach out as the first framework to discuss. So you were talking about some of these global examples in our pre-event catch-up. Would love to know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, Nipun. So frankly speaking, I mean, intuitively also from the time I have been working, I have been reaching out to one-on-one to my, customers, prospective customers, partners, just to understand what they are up to. All right. And when I became a community professional, that sort of became my job. Without realizing it, that became my job. All right. And that one-on-one conversation has actually given me a lot of insights, which helps, to structure the community discussions and scenario. Now, having said that, now what happened at CMX, Crystal reached out. So one of their team members, so she's like, I have joined CMX very soon. Would love to get onto a 15-minute conversation to understand that how we as CMX, team can help you do your job better as community professionals. Luckily, the time zones were like pretty erratic. It was late night for me and early morning for her. But that 15-minute of conversation actually made me realize that even though I am one of the CMX members, numbers. But the fact of the case is they are really interested in putting these things in place. Secondly, in the CMX Slack channel, one of the volunteers reached out to me to understand that why have I not been contributing very frequently, because my contribution generally goes up during the event time when there is a CMX summit or a CMX a regional event which is going on. Other time I am a mere lurker absorbing the knowledge, like I go on to the Slack channel once a week or once in 2 weeks to see that what is the new thing which is going on. So these were some interesting discussions which came into place. Having said that, I would love to share it out here that I am member of Masters of Scale courses app. Masters of Scale is a podcast by Reid Hoffman, and on the Masters of Scale group, the community manager said that does anyone, we are having an informal meeting once in a month. Whoever wishes to sign up for it can just fill the form and get into it. And that has been a very interesting stuff, although only one meeting has happened. But my calendar is blocked for next 6 months. That first, I think Thursday or Friday of every month, we are going to catch up for an hour, just a peer-to-peer conversation to understand that how we can help each other out globally. So that is exactly the way to take things forward.
How do you do it at MPL, in terms of one-to-one reach out to, and I'm sure given a B2C platform, for you choosing which ones to reach out one-to-one is very, very important. And I'm sure there are certain tools that you must be using to reach out to, let's say, re-engage your members who have stopped transacting or stopped playing on the platform. Would love to know some of the tools and methods that you use for one-to-one reach outs.
Absolutely, Nipul. Nipul, like I guess we mentioned in the pre-event catch-up as well. I mean, the very first aspect of one-to-one was basically to figure out the right user market in a way that who will be the right person to actually reach out to. So for us, considering that we were catering to a very massive sort of a crowd, we have almost, I would say, 20 million users, active users every day who are actually playing on the application. So it's a task actually to figure things out. So for a platform like us, it's very necessary to have some sort of a backend dashboard, a tracking system wherein we can figure out the kind of activity or engagement that's happening from every user side, and based on the kind of engagement that's happening, we track down and shortlist and segregate those particular users in high rollers, mid rollers, and low rollers. Now, these low rollers could be the lurkers as well, but high rollers are the ones who are actually the 80%, the 20% of the crowd that's actually generating most revenue for us and the most engagement for us. So we reach out to them in a very personalized format. We do every sort of an emailer that we do is very customized in nature. I mean, we need to kind of figure out, we do a lot of AMA sessions, like I mentioned. We do a lot of personalized, I personally do F2F meetings with these guys. I've recently kind of traveled almost in 10 cities in the past 3 months to kind of reach out to them personally. And those smaller gatherings that we have in those smaller cities and all. So we used to call them fan meets, wherein we used to have a get together around 10-15 odd members or users who we thought that had the capacity to kind of scale up in the overall engagement and contribute better. So we had those sort of interactions with these guys, and we realized that okay, there are certain aspects of their expectations which are not aligned with the system right now, because our system was very massive. There are a lot of people from tier 2, tier 3 cities as well, not just from the metro cities. So the thought process completely is different. Their expectations are completely different. How do we cater to them is very necessary. So for us to have that sort of a one-on-one interaction was important, because we wanted to understand their expectations. What I sitting in Delhi might have an expectations would be very much different from someone sitting in Patna or someone sitting in Pune or any other city. So those are the kind of differences we wanted to align, and we figure out, okay, these are the people. Some people are completely because ours is a gaming platform, I'll talk in the gaming term. So the high rollers will talk about the people who actually contribute more. These guys, they used to invest a lot of time and money. Their focus is all about money. They wanted to win more. They want to play more, win more. They want to actually play major tournaments, not the small ones. However, the cities, the people in tier 2, 3 cities, they want to kind of play small. They want to learn and grow from there and scale it up accordingly. So what sort of tournaments, what are the categories of games we want to put up on the application for these people, send them those nudges particularly. For high rollers, we send them also high tournament callouts. We won't send them small tournament callouts because that's not relevant to them. If we'll bombard them with too much of notifications, that's not going to work. They'll actually kind of get annoyed after a point of time. Similarly, that's the same thing we do for the rollers as well. And we target them accordingly. So that's customized targeting is very important. And we've been scaling up well in that case. And the high rollers particularly, we've actually onboarded them as our ambassadors, or I would say these through word of mouth, they've actually kind of pitched in and gotten more users for us in the long run. So that's also paying us well for us.
Can you share an example of, let's say, a high roller who became inactive and you were able to make them active through certain campaign?
Absolutely. So I think one of the campaigns that I mentioned was the affiliate program, wherein we kind of, I won't say ambassadors, but these guys were basically working on certain set of commissions, because gaming industry has a lot of revenue focused. I mean, this approach from the user side, they want to kind of play and win big. That's what thought process was all about. So we kind of onboarded them as our affiliates, and through their channels, because they wanted to create their own sub communities. Like I just mentioned, you need to have those sub communities. So created their own community. They used to train those new users, interact with them directly. All we used to do was just felicitate them in whatever capacity we could with all the resources and everything. And they used to kind of nurture them. So one of the high rollers, I would say, he was basically a major poker player in the industry. Considering poker is a very niche sort of a gaming category, I mean, not everybody is very well to do about the whole ins and out of the game. So we want to kind of build a more well-established, more well-informed community around that. So we kind of onboarded that person because he was completely inactive. We realized there were certain UI UX issues that we wanted to, that he was facing, certain commission-based issues, certain revenues that he was not kind of, win big. So those are the kind of problem statements we thought that, he actually told us that he's facing actually. So we eventually customized the whole offering for him. We created private lobbies wherein he can actually bring in his users, start playing across them and kind of inform them better, get into those small workshops as well to kind of get them into the ins and out of the game and everything. And from there on, he started building up again. And he's now one of the top affiliates for us, generating almost 10 to 15% of the overall revenue for that particular category in a month. It's a good sort of an indicator that people do, as long as they see that value, it all works for us.
Got it. So speaking to them personally, especially, I think I'll break down this thing in two components. One is identifying, who to speak to. So that is very important. And then speaking to them personally, making changes based on their suggestions and giving that comfort that you are open to change, you are open to improve based on the suggestions by them, I think is a big deal. And that's what I think you guys did here.
I'll tell you what, these guys will always come back with 100 of feedbacks. You might not be able to inculcate or integrate all those feedbacks in the system altogether, but even if you do 20 or 30 of them, as long as they feel they're being heard and they're part of the whole process, they'll always contribute better.
And on that note, I noticed Arushi from Leap Club is also here. Hi Arushi, I don't know if you are comfortable.
Hi.
Would love to hear the thought process behind doing this, and if there is any playbook that you guys have created around how to create this informal culture while also maintaining the sanctity of not feeling spammed on the platform.
I think before I share, I'll give the disclaimer. We don't have it all right. I think we are also learning, and I was very excited about this session, I think, because some of these are top problem statements in my mind, right? Like how can we engage the more inactive people? Because there's of course something that's not getting them to return to the app or engage with the community. For us, I'll say, I think one of the game changers within the Leap community, the app, was creating the micro communities or the subgroups. And I think we saw almost a 25 to 30% upward tick in engagement metrics when we introduced that. So, and I think Kirti really put it together very nicely here as I think an active user. I think creating those micro groups, especially as you scale, is essential because it can be overwhelming, even for the most outgoing person to kind of go into a very large community and figure out who do they want to interact with and not. And at the same time, I think making the product smart, that's something that we're focusing on right now, because as the base grows, when you go from 1,000 to 5,000 to 10,000 to 20,000, that'll keep growing. I think just making it easy for members to find other like-minded individuals. And I think the second game changer, which again, Kirti, I think kind of shared, was we kind of gave this opportunity for members to list huddles. So of course, until last year, most of that was online because of COVID and everything else. And then initially we nudged the members saying, why don't you take it offline? Leap continues to, of course, focus on online and offline both. But I think the community managers, as we're saying, I think the team kind of encouraged a few of the active members to take that initiative, and then the trickle effect comes in. So I think the few start that and they lead it and then list it on the app, and there'll be those offline experiences, which is when others also see. And we've seen that trickle effect even across cities. So like, let's say a random example, but like, let's say Bombay is very, very active and there's like a trek meetup happening and something else happening. That's also encouraging members in Ahmedabad and members in Surat saying, you know what, let's take charge and we'll go ahead and do something. The third one, which I want to share, I think, and we're experimenting with a lot of different offline event formats. But I think something that we've taken away as like a main note is centered around an experience. So it doesn't have to be fully a networking event, not as simple as just a meetup. Because I think, again, people feel a lot less pressure to meet and interact if it's centered around an experience. So, stuff like doing a fitness class together, and then at the end of it, you interact. Like she said, like wine tasting together, you interact at the end of it. Or even like industry-led meetup, where very similar to this, I think what you facilitated, right? Like the problem statement is something that's common, I think, to 50 of us, which is what brought us together. So even that we're trying offline, where we, let's say all founders or all product managers come together and discuss like the top 3 problem statements. So I think these have been driving factors. Something that you spoke about previously, I just wanted to add was, I think, of course, WhatsApp for Business is a communication channel that we're using quite a lot.
Right.
I need a note of those things like human touch and simple language. I think we're experimenting with that. But I think in terms of success rate, that sits on top, followed by anything else, like whether it's push notifications or
Yeah. I think we also tried it for the first time, where we actually, personalized these WhatsApp notifications for different members. Like worked like a charm. So definitely, personalizing and genuinely caring about members as a emotion, I think helps a lot. In reactivating some of the members. We'll see you next time. Till then, enjoy your weekend, which is just about to come. And I think the festival season with a lot of holidays is also coming. Personally, I'm sure it's going to be exciting, and it's also going to be challenging as a community manager to maintain that activity, but don't mind, little bit of less activity in your community during festive season. It's very common. So yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much again, guys. Look forward to see you again next time. Till then, bye. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and do not forget to subscribe. You can check out similar content by clicking on the videos on the right.